Good evening, sports fans from far, far away. I am the co host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is our second weekly, I like to say a little between the lines, a little chalk talk with my co host, Mr. Scott Webb. What we're going to do is get you caught up to speed on what's going on in the MLB. Maybe some injuries that have happened since Tuesday. Uh, a little giddiness on Scott's side on what he likes and he's seeing in the Japanese number uh, on the WBC. And then we're going to play a little game. I want you to grab your pens, your papers, and we're going to go through the MLB under overs. Um, Courtesy of DraftKings in front of me. I'm going to say the team. I'm going to give the under over. And Mr. Scotty's going to give his thought and why. And be a good show. It's 9:10 now. We'll be out of here by 10 o'clock at the latest, I assume. So grab yourself a cold one. Grab yourself a cup of coffee or whatever you need to get you through. And without further ado, let's bring him in. The one and only Mr. Scott Webb. What is happening, Scotty?
Hey, brother, man, it's a great day to be alive down here in Florida. I mean, weather's good. Got my WBC stuff on. I got my pitching ninja shirt. Maybe I should show it to you. My Team USA pitching ninja shirt showed up. I'm like all excited, man. Shit, this is gonna be awesome. I'm going down to Miami. March the 20th is that game, and can't wait for all that stuff. So that stuff starts in just a few days. I mean, they're the left side of the bracket, the one out that starts over in Japan and Taiwan, that starts in like 5 days, I think, on the 7th or the 8th, something like that. So that's all great. That's all coming, and then you got I saw someone tweet something about Juan Soto today. And okay, they're like, oh my God, Juan Soto's back. He's got this amazing, 200 something, whatever was his on base plus slugging, and 2000, whatever number was. He's like, he's only made 2 outs. He's got all this stuff. And I'm going, okay, well, that's great. He's swinging the bat well, but none of that shit matters because the games don't count. And the truth of the matter is, he's probably facing double A and single A pitchers at this point. So keep all that stuff in mind. The stuff that does matter, we've talked about it a little bit. The injuries, velocities, and we got some stuff to talk about there if you want to.
Well, let's go right there. It's funny. I was in the office this morning and this afternoon. I had 3 TVs going, had the locals on one, had the Red Sox on another, had a little golf going in the third TV. I think I left and the Sox were up 6-3. Went and got a nice shave and a haircut and came back for a couple more shows. I come back in, and next thing you know, the Sox got a 15 spot. What are you seeing? What are you hearing? Injuries, updates, new rules? Who likes it? Who doesn't? What's your eyes seeing? We haven't talked since Tuesday, so.
Well, there's a couple of things that I'm going to throw out there that I'm going to just tell people. So first of all, when you're doing this stuff, velocity matters. Pitching velocity matters to an nth degree. So if a guy's throwing, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, so don't hold me to these numbers, but they're relatively close. But if a guy throws, say, 98 to 100 miles an hour or more, the opponent's batting average is under 200 against him. But that's just the way it is. They're just amazing. And if they're in that range of, say, 95 to 98, somewhere in there, batting average against them is 230, 240, 220, below average. But when you get to a point where those guys are throwing 93, 94, batting averages go up to, say, 250. If they're below that, they're getting up to 260, then 270, and then 280. So you can't throw 90 miles an hour in this league anymore and get away with it. Now, I say that because there's very few pitchers who can. But I wanted to bring up a couple of things. One of them is that's what you're supposed to be watching for. You're supposed to be watching for when you're watching these games. So the first one, I'm starting to chart all these pitchers, and I just started charting them yesterday, so I missed a couple starts. And I can only get the data right now from StatCast. I'm a little bit I'm a little bit upset at how that stuff is kind of working out with some of this information, because not everybody has StatCast information in spring training, so you can't get all the numbers. But that being said, let's talk about the Tigers for 1 minute. Let me get to my Tigers. There we go. So yesterday, this is the perfect reason why I want to talk about certain things. People might not know who some of these guys are, but Matt Manning pitched yesterday. Now, Matt Manning's a guy that, he was hurt there for a little while. He's a guy that's supposed to be pretty good. And he was a younger player. So last year, after he got hurt and he came back, he threw 93 miles an hour, 93.2 exactly. That's his average fastball. On March 1st, so yesterday, in his outing, he threw 90. So he's got an average velocity drop of 3 on almost 3.5 miles an hour. That's not good. That's not good at all. So, for example, Matthew Boyd pitched today, and he threw 92.6 today, and last year he threw 92.6. Okay, perfect. Whatever. He's right on time. He's good to go. No issues. Other than he's still throwing 92.6. He needs to throw harder than that. But he's older. He's not going to have that issue. But the reason I bring up Matt Manning now is because when you drop from 93 to 90, you're going to get hit. And if it's going to apply in a second when I talk about somebody else. But Matt Manning, he might not necessarily be a favorite in a lot of games, but maybe they play somebody like the Royals or something, and they're at home, and he's pitching against somebody. And if the book says you're at home and this pitcher's worth X, when he's not worth X because he can't throw like he used to, you jump on him early. You can win these games right out of the box when you have more information than the book does, because the book's not doing what they're doing this exercise, right? They're looking at, okay, this pitcher is worth this, and this team is worth this, home field is worth this, and that's how they come up with their line. So what I'm telling you is that this information is not in that line. So if you know more about Matt Manning and his troubles than what the sports book does, you can take advantage of that. So this information is almost the most critical thing you can get out of that. Before we got on here, I was talking about a tweet that was on, I don't know where it came from, doesn't matter, but they were talking about Juan Soto. And Juan Soto's been up, 12 times, 14 times. He's only made 2 outs, got a walk or 2. He's hit 1 home run. He's had 2 doubles, and the rest of them are all singles. And they're talking about how great he is. And we already know he's a great player. And then they were talking about, he's all back, he's this and he's that. But just remember a couple of things. These games don't mean anything in terms of the result of the play. If the guy got a base hit, so what? That doesn't matter. It didn't count. If he hit a home run, so what? It doesn't matter. It didn't count. Now, if he makes the team because he did that, then that matters to that player and that team. But it doesn't make any difference, because these are games that aren't even games. They're organized scrimmages, organized practices at best. They don't have game plans. They're not going out there attacking hitters the way they normally would in a game, or batters attacking pitchers the way they normally would in a game. So none of that stuff is in play. Now, having said all of those things, if you're gaining velocity and losing velocity, it's important, because that plays. The other side of it, don't worry about. Like Volpe for the Yankees, he's off to a great start, right? He was 2 for 4 the other day. He's 2 for 3 today. He hits a home run. He's not going to start for them. So he may play for them. He's not going to start. So he's one of those guys they might call up in May, April, June, whenever it's going to be. Whenever they think they need a jolt or a spark, they want him to get more at-bats, which I don't blame him, right? Dominguez, the other kid for the Yankees, already hitting home runs, calling the Martian and all that stuff, whatever. All these guys that are doing all these amazing things, all are great, but they don't count, and they're not facing major league pitching. So you got to remember what's going on. Okay, I say all this stuff because I got to get to the Cardinals.
Now, they have the M juice. You do know that, right?
They have the what?
The M juice.
Who?
The Cardinals.
What's that ham juice?
Yeah, exactly. It's called just like when they happen to go over to the Dodgers, they just
Oh,
miraculously become real good all of a sudden.
so you want to know the latest on Reyes?
Yeah, what's he now? Coming back in around 98, 99?
He's out for 6 months.
All right, well that's good. They got him for the playoff push then.
Well, he could if he's out for 6 months. So I want to talk about Adam Wainwright for two things. Okay, so first of all, this matters because of what I'm wearing on my head. So World Baseball Classic starts in I think over here it starts 2 or 3 days later than it does in Japan. So it's like the 11th or something. And Adam Wainwright's a main cog on the starting pitching for Team USA. I mean, so now you lose him. They already lost. Well, you're not going to lose him, but you already lost Kershaw, so he's not going to pitch. And their best pitchers, Brady Singer from the Kansas City Royals, and Lance Lynn from the White Sox. Those not bad pitchers, right? Okay, but you need a Wainwright, right? I mean, older guy, been around a little bit, can pitch in these high leverage playoff kind of games. All right. So last season, he gets a little dinged up towards the end of the year. He starts having back trouble and his velocity goes down. This season, he's had some issues with his back. And at the start of the season, he's been out. This is his second start, by the way. His average velocity last year, Jeff, was 88.6. It wasn't too long ago that I could probably still throw 88.6. Not now. I'm too old and my arm will fall off and too many other things going on with my body. But it wasn't too long ago I could probably still throw 88.6. But that's what he threw last year. Today, he threw 84.9 max, 84.9. The batting practice pitchers throw that. That's what they throw them. They go up there and throw them 80 mile an hour fastball so they can just get loose and warm up and hit. That's what they see. 85 is a batting practice fastball. Adam Wainwright's in trouble. The Cardinals are in trouble if he can't pitch a bunch of innings. So I wrote, well, I shouldn't say I wrote. I copied and pasted and made a little tweet about Jack Flaherty. So Jack, the latest that I have on Jack, and I have notes on every team, by the way. So the spring, oh crap. I just closed what I wanted to see. There we go. So the spring training notes I have about Jack Flaherty are this. So Jack Flaherty should have no limitations in the spring. So we talked about that. He's healthy. He's been healthy, not impeded by not impeded by anything. Then you come through and just the other day, it's all rainbows and unicorns for Jack Flaherty. It's been 4 seasons since Flaherty dazzled the league with one of his top rising arms in the sport, but he enters the spring with both velocity and pitching makeup consistency to where they were up and the oblique tear from 2 years ago, and they feel confident that he's going to get there. If Jack Flaherty gets there, Jeff, this is what that team needs, because that guy is an ace, and he can be. And if he's healthy, then okay, they're not going to miss Wainwright that much because they got Miles Michaelis. He's pitching on Team USA too. You know who Team USA needs is a guy like Zach Gallen, but they got Merrill Kelly going to pitch. So, I mean, those are all good guys. Don't get me wrong. I mean, but, Team Dominican's going to throw Sandy Alcantara at them.
I was listening to, on my way tonight, I was listening to, it was Jim Bowden was on, and he does this thing on Sirius at 6 with Howard Bender. And they were talking about the Marlins and, from Alcantara down, and the bounce back of Rogers and a couple other pitchers, and they got a couple kids. Sandy Alcantara's taken one under his wing. I think it's Perez or Painter, or they were talking Perez, Painter, and someone else.
Painter's for the Phillies.
Okay, so there's another P for the Marlins. Was it Perez?
Yuri Perez.
Yep. And that next, he's the next one, but he's probably not going to start with the team. But he's the next one coming, they said.
Well, he is. So the question about the Marlins, in my mind, is going to be, how good is Sandy Alcantara?
How good?
Yeah, how good is he? I mean, so the reason I say how good is he is because he's a little different than the rest of the guys that throw hard.
You don't get strikeouts.
He throws 97 miles an hour, but he's not a big strikeout guy.
Nope.
So the question becomes, is just how good is he? Well, I don't mean that in a way that means he's bad. I mean that in a sense of, is he that dominant again where he can be the NL MVP? I don't know. So, I mean, Cy Young, I don't know. His 2021 was pretty good. I mean, he threw 205 innings. Last year, he threw 228 innings, which is really good. And the numbers are relatively the same. Now, last year he didn't strike out as many as he did the year before. So my concern with him is if he stays on this path, and he's going to be 27 this year, which is pretty young, because you think of him and he's been around forever. I mean, he was 21 years old pitching in for the St. Louis Cardinals, by the way. Looking at his numbers back, he pitched 8 innings for the Cardinals when he was 21 years old. So I think he's really good. Don't get me wrong. I think he's really good, but I don't think he's going to be Cy Young in the National League. Now, can he be top 10? Yeah, absolutely. So he's a top 10 pitcher in the National League. That's what I think. But and he's in his prime. So when you got a guy in his prime, that means they could sustain that level where they're at. But last year's the best year he's ever had. So, and he threw 228 innings. So what does that look like for him this year? Well, I don't know. He threw 205 the year before that. He's projected to throw 200 and whatever innings again, but not 228. The interesting thing about the Marlins that is in my mind is Jesus Luzardo. If Jesus Luzardo can pitch, and like he can, if he can do that, then I think the Marlins win more games than everybody thinks they will.
Bowden today said he was throwing 96, 97.
Yeah, Luzardo can pitch. I mean, he can pitch that, and he's left-handed. And he's really good. That guy's really good, and he's a strikeout guy. So he can dominate games. The question is can he keep the ball over the plate? And then the guy that nobody talks about on that team much, and he's a guy I like, is Edward Cabrera. I think Edward Cabrera is great, and especially because he pitches in the third or the fourth hole or the fifth hole. And that guy's got dominant stuff. I mean, that guy can pitch. And Trevor Rogers, I always thought was getting more run than I thought his stuff was. So I think Trevor Rogers is good. If you remember 2 years ago, he won a lot of games and was in the running for, I think a rookie of the year for National League pitcher and stuff. And then last year he fell off the plate. His earned run average last year 5.47. That ain't very good. So the year before 2.64. That's pretty good. So and he had a lot of strikeouts, but he's got a weird delivery. So his weird delivery helps him. But a good pitcher. So the question becomes with the Marlins is just everything else. Can they score any damn runs? They did some changing around. So I think they're a better baseball team than they were last year. But does that mean that it changes? Because we'll talk about that when we do the over and unders and stuff. But just because you're better doesn't mean you're going to win more games. And I say that because did the Mets get better? They probably stayed the same, if not a little better. Did the Braves get better? Well, they signed their guys that they needed to have. So I think the Braves are better and they're healthier. Acuna back in full speed. They're better. And then do Phillies get better? Well, if you add Trey Turner, holy shit. So you sit there and you go, the Marlins, okay, you added Gene Segura, and you're going to move Chaz Chisholm to center field, and you got these guys that can pitch. Well, where's your offense? Well, they're going to put Joey Wendell at shortstop. Okay, well, where's your offense? So if you're not getting that much better, I think they did. I think they're better, but statistically they're better. But can they win more games? I don't know. Their pitchers are going to have to throw shutouts every game.
All right, let's have some fun here. I have to the right of me DraftKings. I have their under overs. And of course, it's a moving market. So it's March 2nd, 9:29 p.m. Now, we're going to just play a game. I'm going to throw out the team. I'm going to give you the number. I'm going to tell you the juice. You're going to give me under or over, and you can just give a short reason why. We can go back to this 2-3 weeks from now, right before the season starts. And then if you want, if I get out to Westgate and they're running the contest, we'll play it back like we always do. If I don't get there, I still want to do this. And so we can, as the season progresses, keep an eye on it.
Hey, TJ, by the way, sorry, I see you in the chat now. So let me preface this by saying something I just wrote up today and put it out on the website. Betting season totals is a tricky thing because say you bet today, I don't know, let's just use a team out of the blue. You bet the San Francisco Giants, and the Giants, I think the number at circa was 82 when I looked at it. So 82. So say you like the bet over 82 because you like the signing of Sean Manaea. I don't know. I'm just making it up. You like Sean Manaea and you like Mitch Haniger coming over there, and you like that team. So you're going to bet that. So you bet it today at over 82, and then 10 days from today, you find out that Logan Webb's arm fell off, and that You've got, I don't know, Yastrzemski and somebody else. They get hurt, and they're going to miss 6 months. So would you make the same bet that they were going to be over 82 10 days from today if you knew that information? Probably not. So the question that I always come up with, and this is the hard one, because I'm not talking about what I'm doing running to the window today. I'm talking about where I think things are going to go. And if I were going to go to the window today, this is how I bet it. But I am going to tell people that wait and wait and wait and wait and wait until you can't wait no more to bet these totals. And that could mean you sense that the line's going to change or the odds are going to change and you want to get in on it before that happens, which that's okay. But it's like poker. You make better decisions the more information you have. So don't just run to the window the very first second that you have an opportunity to go and say, oh, shit, look at this. I don't know, the Indians or the Guardians are 86.5. They're going to go over that number like crazy. I'm going to go bet it today. Just wait. Stuff comes down the line that will either help you or hurt you in that decision. And then go bet it, because it takes a lot to move these numbers. And, well, maybe not in the World Baseball Classic, but it takes a lot to move some of these numbers. So just make sure that you're I don't want to say make sure you're convicted like I always say, because you're going to be convicted to your number. But you need to test that number harder, because you're not going to get paid out on this bet for 9 months, and this bet has to withstand 9 months. So test it and test it. Do yourself a favor, and when you bet these bets, try to figure out how it loses before you bet it. And if you can't come up with a whole bunch of shit, go bet it. Because the reality is that, and if you're going to go, okay, I'm going to bet this team over whatever team it is, and you go, well, shit, they got to have this happen and that happen and this happen. Okay, what are you doing? You're talking yourself into a dumb bet. You just told yourself all these reasons why this bet ain't going to win. So don't make it. That's what I'm telling you. By the test of time will allow you to really go, I'm going to lose this bet, so I'm not going to make it. So I don't know how to say test the right way. Just go and make sure that you are challenging that bet that you want to make to the nth degree before you make it, because it has to last 9 months. Is that fair?
That's fair. MLB 2023, most regular season wins by any team, 105.5, over plus 100, under minus 125.
There's some super teams in Major League Baseball, so I would go over the number. Okay. I don't have anybody to win 105 games, but I'm going to tell you, a team gets hot, a team gets, something like you talked about at one time, Shohei Ohtani not going to be there next year for the Angels. Maybe he gets traded to a team like, I don't know, Houston, who's on a run, and they're like, oh, we need, so yeah, they go out and win like 130 games. So stuff could happen.
How'd you like to add him to the Padres, huh?
I heard that today.
I know. I
heard, okay, they're going to go sign Soto, and they still have room to put on Ohtani. And I'm like, well, how in the hell is that possible?
Because they'd moved Tatis then.
Well, Tatis, yeah, he's going to be a Yankee. I'm just making that up.
Arizona Diamondbacks, under over 74 and a hook, minus 120 to the over, Scott, plus 100 to the under. I
got them at 75 wins. So that's one game over. I think they got a lot of youthful players. Mm-hmm. They got what's his name? Carroll, that outfielder. They've got guys they like. They got a manager they like. They got top end pitching that's pretty good. They don't have a bullpen, and they still don't have power. So even when you bring up the kids who may hit for power, they won't necessarily hit for power their first time out. So I think if you want to bet Diamondbacks as a futuristic team to move forward, next year's the better year.
This is all alphabetical order. Atlanta Braves, 94 and a half, over minus 110, 94 and a half, under minus 110.
This is a tough one because you got to try to decide if you like the Mets or do you like the Braves, right? But I like both. I've got the my number on the Braves is 96. Now I could see that being a problem because I don't think they have enough pitching, starting pitching. So what happens if now I can't even think of his damn name. The old man. What's the old man's name? Pitches for them. Pitched for the Astros. Pitches for them. What the hell's his name? God bless America. Why can't I do this? I got to damn look it up because I don't know.
Morton. No.
Yeah, Charlie Morton. So what happens if Morton doesn't get the job done, and say they already are having trouble with Ian Anderson, right? Mm-hmm. So they're already having trouble with him. So they could be pretty thin. So there might need to be another pitcher on that team. And I get it. Strider's really good. I get it. Fried's really good. Kyle Wright's really good. I get all of that. But you still got to have other guys. And if Morton's there and he's doing what Charlie Morton has been doing, okay, great. And then you only got one, which is Ian Anderson. And then they can mix and match all these other kids they got. And the key to that's going to be Mike Soroka. if Mike Soroka can come back and win that job and be a good Mike Soroka, okay, Braves could be one of them teams that wins over 100 games. Because I saw something today, Jeff, that said the Braves might. There's only been, I think, 144. Maybe there's three. I think there's 40 players ever in all of baseball. I think obviously the first one was Jose Canseco, 40 stolen bases, 40 home runs. The Braves think they got three guys that can do it this year. Three. They're talking about obviously Acuna, right? Yeah. So they're talking about Acuna, and then they're talking about Michael Harris. I don't think he can get to 40 home runs. And then they're talking about Ozzie Albies, who thinks he can get to 40 home runs. And I'm like,
I'd go 30, 40 maybe for both of them.
I'm like, what Pop-Tart dust are you eating that you think you guys are going to hit 40 home runs?
No, 30, 40.
Yeah, well, they're talking 40. And I'm like, you guys are drunk. But I saw it reported, and they saw it that those guys, and it was actually the what's his name, Stark, from wherever he's at now. That guy, he was like, oh, he's talking to the Braves, and the Braves think they're going to have three guys that are 40 guys. Okay, well, great. Some guys think they're going to hit 70 home runs too, and they're going to strike out 350 players, and they're going to have 35 complete games. Are you lost?
Baltimore Orioles over under 76.5, juiced over -120.
So I like youth in a lot of ways, and I equate this to runway, right? So if you give some younger person the ability to land an airplane, and they come in hot, it's like, oh, that's not good. You need to be going in a little slower when you land the plane. But you give them runway to finish that off, right? So they can kind of ease into that. I think that as long as Gunnar Henderson can play like they think Gunnar Henderson can play, Adley Rutschman's going to be fine. I think Anthony Santander he's going to be fine. They can get a good bounce back from Mountcastle. It's all going to be about their pitchers. And I think their pitchers are better than they were last year. I mean, Jesus Christ, Jordan Lyles was their number one winning starting pitcher last year. I mean, holy shit, that's no good. So I think they made some pretty decent moves. I mean, bringing in the guy from Irvin from the Oakland A's, I think is nobody's talking about. But I think that was a pretty good move because he was a decent pitcher, and he's going to be a decent pitcher for Oakland or for Baltimore. And then you bring in the veteran that they got from Philadelphia now. I forget who he is, but you bring him in. He used to pitch for the Twins all the time. So you bring that guy in, and then those guys all line up, and then you bring in the kid who pitched today. Did you see him pitch today, Grayson Rodriguez?
That's my guy.
Average fastball today was 97, hit 100 a couple times.
Yeah, so we had him.
In lieu of the number, I have 78 wins for the Baltimore Orioles.
We had him last year, and he was supposed to get called up. They said, no, we're going to give him one more start, and they got hurt, and thanks for playing. So this number is kind of comical because I know in December the number was 74.5. Now my Boston Red Sox over under 78.5, juiced over -115 to the under 105. So the number has moved four games. I don't know what they did for the number to move 4 games. It's kind of comical, but tough division. 78 and a hook, Scott.
I got him at 78. So I would think I would, but I would tell you a different story, right? Like I just said how I liked all these players for Baltimore. I don't like any of the players that you're talking about for Boston. And the reason I don't like them is because they're cast-offs. You know what I mean? Like you don't go win with a bunch of cast-offs. You don't take a 38-year-old third baseman and go, oh, now we're going to go win, and make the playoffs. You don't talk about Chris Sale coming back, and you don't talk about Big Maple, not necessarily being a Big Maple no more, and Corey Kluber and those guys. They're all cast-offs. So all this stuff has to go right just for them to win what they're supposed to win, let alone try to be more. Whereas Baltimore has a bunch of younger talent, and they have a younger team that isn't cast off, retreaded guys. They're going to be good and they're going to grow. They can build on things. I don't think Boston can. So I'm more apt to look down at Boston and up on Baltimore for those reasons.
I agree. Oh, here comes a fun one for you. I already know the answer, but the Chicago Cubs over under 77 and a hook, minus 110 both ways.
I have the Cubs at 76 wins. We've talked about the Cubs, and I can't figure out certain things about the Cubs. I mean, I get it. Look, the Cubs I think are better than they were a year ago. I'm not going to tell you that. So what if I told you how many games did they win last year, Jeff? Where's my thing? I got to look it up now because I don't know. I have something else. I don't have that exact record. So let me see. They won, if I can get there fast enough, standings. I don't need spring training standings because nobody cares about that. We're going to go there. So I don't care about that. Regular season in 2022. So the Cubs, So the Cubs were 74 and 88. That was their record last year. So what was the over-under number, 77 and 76?
77 and a hook.
I got circa at 78. So they're saying, hey, they're going to be 4 games better. I can see that. I got them at 76 wins, base runs last year. So this is what I judged the team on. So last year I have them at 73 wins. That's how many that I think they should have won, was 73 wins. So Fangraphs has them at 75. Baseball Prospectus has them at 76. And the betting numbers at 77 and a half, 78. So what does that tell you? It tells me that the team is not a 78 win team. So I think they're an underplay. Now, I haven't played them that way and I haven't done anything yet. But like I said, if I was going to the window today, these would be my plays. That's what I'm telling you. That's what I would do. And I would play them under. But I think, again, this is a cast-off city team, right? I mean, they got Mancini and they got the guy from the Dodgers, and I mean, it's just cast-off. It's cast-off city. That's who this team is. So I don't see, but I see them as being better because at least they're not guys they can recognize who they are, who's playing. I still don't think they can pitch. I mean, Jameson Taillon, he's a good pitcher, but he's not the guy that moves the needle. So do they stack up against teams like, I don't know, Milwaukee in that same division? I mean, shit, you're going to put Corbin Burns and Woodruff out there, and then you're going to tell me that Stroman and that these guys are going to match up? There's no way. So yes, they're better, but I don't think they're great.
This is the first one that I think looks light. And again, we both know this. These numbers, listen, Vegas knows people come in for the year. They always bet on the over on their favorite teams. The sharp guys do the work that we're talking about. And I know this is going to be a good division. I know you're in love with one of the teams already. And there's another team in this division that already made it to the playoffs that I saw is, by the way, 20 plus 2,200. Guardians are plus 2,200, by the way, which is a decent number to win it all. I know you think they can't, but they have some talent. They have some strong arms. One of the best closers in the game. One of the best managers, obviously, in the game. But I'm talking about the White Sox. Yes, they lost Abreu. Yes, they already got some dings. If Luis Roberts could pencil them in for 145 games, probably could be all world. But the number came in, Scott, 83 and a half, juiced under minus 120.
So I was thinking about this yesterday because I like the Twins. So I was thinking about this yesterday, and I was thinking, okay, let's look at the Guardians' great pitching, and then let's look at how the Twins line up with that starter staff, and then And then I'm like, oh, they match up pretty good. And then I'm like, well, wait a minute. The White Sox actually match up the best because the White Sox have the top end guys that can match up to the Biebers, right? So Bieber's supposed to be the best pitcher in that division. So if Bieber's the best pitcher in that division, which I'm not 100% sure he is, he was really good again last year, but I don't think he's going to be able to survive long without picking up more velocity. So anyway, but Dylan Cease, man, that guy can pitch, and he's a young kid, and I think Dylan Cease is going to be the best pitcher in that division. And if Lance Lynn can be anything near what Lance Lynn used to be, okay, they got a great 1-2. Shouldn't say great. They got a good 1-2 punch there that can stack up to anybody else in that division. But what they have is two guys that I don't know what to make of them anymore. So Lucas Giolito is a guy that was a Nationals prospect, came over, struggled with the White Sox, struggled with the Nationals, and then found it all. He found it. He was great. Okay, well, last year he sucked ass. So who is he? Is he going to come back and be the guy that was good, or is he going to come back and be the guy that wasn't so good? And the other one is Michael Kopech. So can Michael Kopech be a starting pitcher, or should we go and say, okay, go throw 100 miles an hour and throw for an inning in the bullpen? I don't know. So if those two guys can pitch, the White Sox go over that number easy. I have them at 81 wins, Jeff. 81, which is barely what? That's one game under 500, for God's sakes. And the reason I think that I have them that way is because I think we were all wrong. I was wrong. Let's put it that way, on how good their offense is, how good these batters are, because Lewis Robert can play, but Lewis Robert is not like an MVP caliber player, but he can play. He can be kind of an all-star kind of player. And Tim Anderson, okay, well, he can play. Those are the two best guys they got. Tim Anderson, 58 RBIs projected. Lewis Robert, 85 RBIs projected and 24 home runs. That's not enough. It's not enough to make up for Abreu, who lose 100 RBIs in Abreu and 30 home runs. They lose that guy. And then you got Johan Moncada. Who in the hell is that? Right? I mean, that's a guy that can play. Well, maybe he can't play. I don't know. And then you got Yasmani Grandal. Okay, well, what is that? I mean, so how good is this team, and where do they come from? They signed Andrew Benintendi, and he's going to be one of their major offensive stars. I believe it, but at the same time, I think we overestimated how good they are on offense. I think Eloy Jimenez can hit. Now, he can't do nothing else, but I think he can hit. You know, he might hit 30 home runs, but, you know, in this day and age, these guys are hitting 40 home runs. They're driving in 100 runs. And, you know, he's projected to be a 30 home run guy. I don't know. That to me, they're not good enough in the field to compete. The players aren't as good as the Twins players, and the players aren't as good as the Guardians players.
I'll give you a two soft lobs coming up here. Actually, no, I'm sorry. 3 out of the next 4 soft lobs. Cincinnati Reds under over 65 and a hook, juiced over -120.
I think I was really generous here because I was like, man, how do I give these teams 50 wins, 50 some wins? The Reds are under. The Reds are the worst team in Major League Baseball, and it's not close. The Reds are bad. They have 2 good pitchers, but they're bad. I like Lodolo and the other kid.
Hunter Green.
Yeah, well, no, I'm not even counting him. I think it's what's the other kid's name? Ashcraft, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, Ashcraft, yes.
I like 2 of their pitchers. I think I think they can get into some decent spots. I think Hunter Green can pitch. He needs to be able to he as hard as he throws, he needs to be able to do better than what he did. Nick Lodelo is going to be a good pitcher, and he's going to be like one of those guys that's a Marlins pitcher. I'm a good pitcher, but I pitch for a shitty ass team, so I don't know what's going to happen with them. But I can't see this team. They got no offense. They got nobody. They're going to be like the Oakland A's. You ain't never going to be hurting these guys that they're playing on the field.
Cleveland Guardians under over 86 and a hook, minus 120 to the over.
I don't have them going over the number. I think that the Central is a tough division in terms of the talented teams. Like, there's not much separation between the Guardians, the Twins, and the White Sox. One little thing could happen and one team could take off. I think that's what happened to the Guardians last year. They got, I don't want to say lucky, but they got into a situation where the White Sox had the Tony La Russa issue, right? Tony La Russa, falling asleep in the dugout and doing stupid shit and whatever, and nobody liked to play for him. And the Minnesota Twins just couldn't get it together. So Cleveland kind of won by default. I don't know that you're going to have that same affordability here. So I think they're all going to be right around the same number. So I have Cleveland right at 86 wins. So I'm not saying to go over. Theoretically, I'm not saying to go under, but 86 and a half, I would bet them under.
Rockies 65 and a hook, 115 juiced under.
I have the Rockies at 64 wins. I don't like the Rockies. Now I will tell you, I like here's a thing that changes a lot of course of action with the Rockies. So Brendan Rodgers, who's they're expected to be second baseman, yesterday dislocated his shoulder. So today they did an MRI. It's quite possible he's done for the year because he's going to have shoulder surgery and whatever they have to do to fix it. And they have another guy, and the name slips my mind. Which is kind of happening here, but he's a relief pitcher. Pitched a lot last year for them. Was counted on as being a good relief pitcher for them this year. He is going to have a second opinion because he now needs Tommy John. So you got a starter in Brendan Rodgers, and then you got a key cog relief pitcher not going to be there. I don't care how good Chris Bryant comes back to play. This team ain't going to be worth a shit. So bet under.
Tigers, last year's darling for the over. Last year's darling came up well short. This year, 70 and a hook, juiced under, minus 120.
I got them at 69 wins. I know these numbers are kind of tight. So some of these are bigger numbers, some of them aren't. But I got them at 69 wins. I think AJ Hinch is a good teacher. I think he's a good manager. So I think he gets the most out of this team. I don't think this team is very good. So as they're developing, that team has two outfielders that could make a total difference. One of them is the kid that they got from that had vertigo and all that crap last year, Austin Meadows. So Austin Meadows, he comes back and plays like he did when he was traded out there. That'll help that team. And the other one is Riley Green. If you can get Riley Green to play and whatever with Javi Baez and these guys, those guys are just idiots. So these guys have some players like Spencer Torkelson. Is he ever going to make it and be like the star that he's supposed to be? I don't know. So as they're doing these things, those guys have to carry them because, Miggy's, this is it for him. And, he's going to retire. Not that he's going to be the big cog anyway, but he's done. And the thing they were throwing their hat on was pitchers, because they had all those pitchers. Well, those guys are all hurt. So they don't got any pitchers. You got Edward Rodriguez. Okay, great. He's fine. I'm not worried about Edward Rodriguez. He's not an ace, but he's a good pitcher. Yeah. So they got Michael Lorenzen and Spencer Turnbull and, guys like that, what does that mean? You need your, what's the guy's name? Wise or whatever that got hurt. And the other kid begins with a T. it's kind of a weird name. But those guys had all the big shoulder surgeries and Tommy Johns. They're not there. So the young guys that throw, oh, Tariq Skubal, that was it. So those guys not there are going to hurt this team because their team was built on those guys to be able to pitch, and they can't pitch, and they don't have the big offense yet. So I don't think they win that many games. But I mean, I got them at 69.
The world champ Houston Astros over under 95 and a hook juiced over minus 115.
I got them at 97. I think they could win 100. My concern with that division is that Texas has gotten a lot better, and I think the Angels are going to be something to deal with this year.
Kansas City Royals 69 and a half juiced under minus 115.
Yeah, I got them at 67 wins. So Kansas City's got some young players, and Bobby Witt Jr. you've heard of, and he's good. But who else do they have that's good, that like going to be carrying the team good? I don't know. I don't think they got anybody like that other than him. So they certainly don't have the guys on the mound. They re-signed Zach Greinke, for God's sakes. I mean, that guy throws 85 miles an hour, maybe. He and Wainwright can go out there and see who throws the ball the harder. But I think, Salvador Perez, he's still there. He's gonna, he's a good guy, good player. But Vinny Pasquantino or whatever the hell his name is. Okay, how good is that guy? I don't know. He's projected to have 22 home runs, 78 RBIs. He's supposed to be their best offensive player this year. Well, that says a lot. But if your best offensive player is going to drive in 80 runs, that ain't no good. So I don't know. They got MJ Melendez. That guy's a good player, but they got to find a place for him to play. He's supposed to be a catcher, but they can't get rid of Salvador Perez. So I don't know. I think this team's crazy. I mean, who do they have? And then they got nobody to pitch except for Brady Singer, and he's not that dominant a guy that he's going to go out there and win a whole bunch of games. So under for them.
All right, I'm going to give you two more. We're going to cut it off at the halfway point, and we'll do the second half on Tuesday. Both LA teams, the Angels, 81 and a hook, juiced over minus 120, and now the Dodgers, 95 and a hook, juiced over minus 125.
So I have Angels at 85 wins.
Okay.
So I see that I have Houston 97 wins, Angels 85 wins, Mariners 84 wins, Rangers 81 wins. I think that's going to be – I think that Houston stands far and beyond above the rest of them, obviously. But I think the other ones are – holy shit, they're good. Now, I say they're good because they can be over 500, whatever that means. But I think they are good. I mean, I think these teams can make playoff runs. So I like what the Angels are doing. I like where they're at. I think there's two things that are going for them. One of them is Rendon, and the other one is I think Mike Trout is in a spot where he's like, you know what? I was the best player for all these years. No, everybody's forgot about me. Everybody, I want to be in the playoffs. I think he's going to go hit, 50 home runs and stuff like that. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be right there at the end for the MVP. That's what I think he's going to do. And it doesn't surprise anybody for me to say that because he's done that for so many years. But what I mean is, I think he's got that chip on his shoulder. I think he's going to go play for Team USA for a reason. You know what I mean? Like he wants to go do something. So I think that he's going to get his chance this year. Now Dodgers, holy shit, Jeff, they play him under. I get it. They're the Dodgers, and you know where this number comes from? It comes from guys. I shouldn't say guys like me because that's not right. So guys look at this and they go, well, how many games they win last year? I don't know, 111 or whatever it was, 100 whatever it was.
111.
So okay. So how many games should they win this year? Well, if they lose 10 less games, they're still win 101. Oh, well, let's set the number then at like 96. because then that means they got to be, I don't know, 15 games worse than what they were last year. How can they be 15 games worse than what they were last year? So that's where this number comes into play that says, okay, well, this team's a 95 win team. Okay. Um, tell me how they're a 95 win team. I don't get it. So the first thing to consider when you're talking about these things is, and I've already kind of looked at this, but consider the fact that this year they're playing a balanced schedule. That means they lose 6 games against the Diamondbacks and 6 games against the Rockies, which are teams they hardly ever lose to. I mean, they played 19 games against these teams, 19. Now they're only going to play 13. So they lose 6 games against these teams. And these are teams that I don't have the number right in front of me, but I will tell you that they played them 19 times last year, Jeff. If they lost more than 5 games to either one of those teams, I'd be surprised. I think 14-5 against both of them. Okay, well, now you lose the games against those teams. And then you pick up games against, I don't know, the Blue Jays and the Yankees and, the Astros and, all these kinds of teams. So first of all, the level of their schedule goes up. Secondly, I don't think they're the best team in that division, and they think they are. I think they think they're still the best team because they're the Dodgers. The Padres are better than the Dodgers. So I think that they're going to sit there and go, okay, well, we're still the Dodgers. The Padres aren't better than us until they beat us. Well, what happened in the playoffs last year? So I think that the Dodgers are a team that didn't do anything major in the offseason with a plan in place. Their plan in place was, let's let the young kids play, right? So what happens? Well, Gavin Lux breaks his leg, and now he can't play all year. So now they have to rely on a guy that they got from the Miami Marlins to be their shortstop. Think about that. The Los Angeles Dodgers are going to have a guy play shortstop that can't hit. Okay, well, it is what it is. Go ahead.
Did you hear who wants to play second base? Maybe that will help them.
I don't know who wants to know who's that. Betts? Yeah, well, I mean, I know he's been talking about that. I don't know if Team USA or somebody was going to have him do some of that stuff too. I think a little bit.
He came up from the Boston as a second baseman.
Yeah, so I don't know what they're going to do there, other than I don't know that helps them. So who's going to play shortstop? The kid from Miami, right? They got a guy who's going to play second base, Miguel Vargas. Mark Vargas is going to be the young kid that's going to play there, who was originally going to play third base, and then they put Muncy back to third base. So look, you got Chris Taylor and Trace Thompson and David Peralta. I mean, what? So this was the best offense in baseball last year. And they got two guys that are the best in the top 10 of all of baseball. Well, I shouldn't say top 10. Say top 15 or top 20, how you want to look at it. Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, and those guys can play. And then you add in Will Smith and Max Muncy. Those guys are good players. But you got 2 guys that are really good. So, okay, where's all their offense going to come from now? And then you got to look at it and go, all right, well, maybe they can pitch, maybe they can get it to a point where that's how they win. Well, their best pitcher is Julio Urias. And I don't mean that disrespectfully, but if you put Julio Urias, who else is in that division? Let's just put him up against, I don't know, Yu Darvish. Is Julio Urias that big a favorite over Darvish? Or if Darvish is at home, is Darvish the favorite? I think Darvish should be the favorite. So then you got Clayton Kershaw. Okay, well, Clayton Kershaw, he's going to throw 150 innings, 160 innings, maybe start 30 games. Well, I don't even get that far. Maybe he starts 27, 28 games, and he's not going to go deep into these games. So how good is that going to be for you? I think he can still pitch. I think the problem, though, is that he really isn't going to be like this dominant guy that you can count on as a 2-hole. He's got to be a 2-hole pitcher. And really, he should be like a 4-hole pitcher at this point. And then they're going to bring in Syndergaard. Okay, look, I heard this stuff about Syndergaard. He's back to Thor and all that stuff. But you got to show it to see it. And I haven't seen the reports. I haven't seen the numbers on him. So I don't know that he's actually throwing 100 miles an hour. I don't think he is. I don't think he went from whatever it was, 92, 93 to 100. He might have went up a mile or two. And then you got Tony Gonsolin and Dustin May. Those are not the cream of the crop pitchers in the world. They're just not. If you put Walker Buehler back on that team, Walker Buehler's better than all of them. So okay, you can't tell me that missing the best player on the pitcher is going to not matter in Walker Buehler. And then you lost Trey Turner, who quite possibly, I'm not going to say he was, but quite possibly was their best offensive player. Well, you got Mookie Betts and Freeman and him, and then you got they can cover and mask a lot of stuff. I don't know. I got him at 89 wins, Jeff.
Well, the funny thing is, and this was, again, we'll finish the second half on Tuesday. I just peeked ahead on the rest of the under-overs. They got them beating the Padres by 2 games, so I will gladly ask Julian Edlow. I'll take the Padres plus 2 games for anything your book will hold. And the other one is I'll take the Giants plus the 14.5 games that you have on your over-unders that you have the Dodgers beating them by. I don't care if Tim Lincecum comes back and starts for them. I'd take them.
I got the Giants at 82 wins and the Dodgers at 89 wins.
Yeah. 14 and a hook is the difference.
That's what I'm saying. I don't see it. Slap me in the head with a 2x4 maybe, but I don't see it. Right? I mean, I don't see it. I mean, what am I supposed to say? They've lost too much, and they haven't replenished it with the right people yet. Now, I'm not saying these guys aren't going to be good. Maybe they are. Maybe they're going to come in and they got rid of JT and they got rid of Bellinger and they got rid of all these guys because all these younger guys are going to be better. Okay, well, are they? They played already, some of them. And, they got to go out and do it and on a consistent basis. And the Dodgers play big games. They got big games they got to win. I think the Padres are deeper. I think the Padres are better. You put up the Padres lineup against what this lineup is, and holy shit, Jeff, you'll jump to the Padres side every time, because they got star power and players, man. They got guys that can play. They're going to have to make sure their pitches hold up, but signing Michael Wacha was a big deal for them.
Closing thoughts, sir.
Closing thoughts are that World Baseball Classic is coming. I'm excited. I'm excited to go there. I'm excited to have baseball on the way. Look, we're still a month away, Jeff. I mean, baseball starts, I think March 30th, I think, is actually opening day. So we're like 28 days still from opening day. So there's a lot of baseball to talk about as we go forward. There's a lot of things to go. I always like to say, whether they say that, how that phrase goes, don't put the wagon in front of the horse or some shit like that. So the idea is, we're talking season wins, and trust me, I'm going to have my season wins plays. I'm going to release one tomorrow, but I'm not racing to the window to play every one of these because there's no need to. I mean, there's just no. So be careful how you bet and be careful what you do and how you do it. So patience sometimes is a good thing.
Myself and Scotty will be back on Tuesday at 7 p.m. and on Thursday again at 9 p.m. Tomorrow morning, be quiet here. In the afternoon at 1:30, Matt Grissom will make his debut and we're going to do some college baseball. He is a professional on the college baseball side, so we're going to talk some college baseball, what's coming up this weekend, some sharp numbers there. We're going to try to get Steven Nover on, does some writing for the Las Vegas Insider, does some work with pregame.com, a professional, former writer, now professional handicapper from Vegas. We had technical issue last week. We're going to see if we can get that resolved around 3:30, and then myself and Riley will be back around 4:30 for the closing bell. So thank everyone here. A lot of people watching. If you're not subscribed, jump over to YouTube, East Coast Sports Investors. Go click the button and subscribe. It's for free. Scotty, tell them where they can get your information also, please.
You can catch it on my website. It's mlb-daily.com. You can follow me on Twitter. I throw out a bunch of stuff on Twitter too, at Webby20MLB on Twitter. And just for whatever, I do run my own service. So if you're interested in getting plays, the first month is obviously April. But I'm going to combine that with World Baseball Classic. So it's $49. You want all the World Baseball Classic in the first month of baseball. Holy shit, that's a deal. Just go to the website, click the button, and sign up.
And we'll be breaking down daily, weekly. We'll figure out his schedule, the Webby odds. And when the Webby odds connect with the ECSI odds, you better back up the Brinks truck because it's a beep, beep, beep. I think last year we were around 73, 74, 75% when we hit the same side. So I can't wait. Again, it's good, though. We got a month to go for the MLB. We got a week to go with the WBC. So that's going to lead us up there. We'll be able to break down some games. We'll have some fun there. Hopefully gets a live remote from you from the World Baseball Classic. TJ, make sure you send lots of pictures when you're at the game as well. Maybe you'll meet up with Scotty. So until we meet again, everyone, behave yourselves. Have a good night, and we will see you soon.